Have you ever walked into a room and felt like nobody noticed you were there? Like your voice, your stories, even your presence just faded into the background? I hear this so often from folks in their 70s, 80s, and beyond. You've lived a full life, raised families, built careers, maybe even traveled the world, and yet suddenly, it feels like the world doesn't see you the way it used to. Maybe your kids are busy with their own lives, or friends have moved away, or society just stops making space for you. And that feeling, it can chip away at your self-respect, your joy, even your sense of purpose. But here's the truth. You are not invisible. Your worth doesn't shrink with age. It deepens. And today, we're going to talk about how to reclaim that sense of value, how to reignite that spark of joy, and how to remind yourself and the world just how much you matter. We'll cover 5 powerful ways to rebuild self-respect and joy after 70. And I promise, these aren't vague. Think positive tips. These are real, actionable steps you can start today. Let's begin with the first one. Something so simple, yet so transformative. 1. Reconnect with your signature strengths. When was the last time you did something that made you feel truly like yourself? Not just busy work or chores, but something that taps into what you've always been good at. Your signature strengths. Maybe you were the problem solver at work, the neighbor who always knew how to fix a leaky faucet, or the friend who could make anyone laugh. Those strengths didn't disappear when you turned 70. They're still there, waiting to be used. But here's the catch. If we don't actively use them, we start to forget how capable we are. Example, anecdote to make it relatable. Take my friend Margaret. She'd been a teacher for 40 years, but after retiring, she felt adrift, like she'd lost her identity. One day, her grandson asked her to help him with his history homework. She said, "Oh, I'm too old to teach anymore." But he insisted, and guess what? That hour they spent together, debating the Civil War and laughing over old stories, it lit her up. She started tutoring at the library once a week, and now she says, "I feel like me again." So here's your challenge. Grab a pen and paper right now, if you can, and write down 3 things you've always been known for. Maybe it's your patience, your creativity, your knack for listening. Then ask yourself, how can I use one of these strengths today? It could be as small as organizing a drawer if you're a natural planner, or calling a friend who needs a pep talk if you're the encourager. When you use what you're good at, you remind yourself and others of your value. 2. Create micro moments of connection. Now, let's talk about connection. When we feel invisible, it's easy to pull back, to think, why bother? But isolation only deepens that feeling. What we need are what I call micro moments of connection. Tiny, intentional interactions that remind you you're still part of the world. This doesn't mean you need to host big parties or force yourself into crowded places. It's about finding little ways to engage. For example, compliment someone's garden when you're on a walk. Strike up a conversation with the cashier at the grocery store. Send a handwritten note to your grandkid, even if it's just a silly joke or a memory you cherish. My neighbor Carl told me he started waving at the mail carrier every morning. Just a wave, nothing more. But one day, the mail carrier stopped and said, "Your wave's the highlight of my route." That tiny interaction, it gave Carl a boost for the rest of the week. He said, "I realized I still matter to someone." Your turn, tomorrow. Choose one micro moment to create. Maybe smile at a stranger, leave a kind comment on a YouTube video you enjoy, or call a family member and say, "I was just thinking about you." These moments are like seeds, small, but they grow into something beautiful. They remind you that you're still here, still seen, still making a difference. Now, reconnecting with your strengths and creating those small moments are fantastic first steps. But there's another piece to this puzzle, something that might surprise you. It's about redefining what purpose looks like at this stage of life. We'll dive into that next. For now, I'd love to hear, what's one strength you're proud of? Let me know in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up. It helps others find it too. You know, when Margaret started tutoring again and Carl began waving to his mail carrier, they weren't just keeping busy. They were doing something far more powerful. They were redefining what it means to matter. And that brings us to our third strategy: finding purpose in the smallest of acts. 3. Redefine purpose through everyday legacy. We often think of purpose as something grand: writing a book, starting a charity, leaving a mark on the world. But after 70, purpose can look quieter, and yet just as meaningful. It's what I call your everyday legacy. Think about it. Did your grandmother's apple pie recipe become a family tradition? Did your dad's habit of whistling in the morning make your childhood home feel safe and happy? Those small, consistent acts are a legacy. They ripple outward in ways we rarely see. And you're still creating those ripples, if you let yourself. Take Evelyn, a viewer who wrote to me last month. She'd been a nurse for decades, but after retiring, she felt useless. Then one day, she noticed her neighbor struggling to carry groceries. Evelyn offered to help, just a simple gesture. But that neighbor later told her, "You're the only person who checks on me." So Evelyn started baking extra muffins on Sundays and dropping them off for a few folks on her street. It's not a charity. It's not a big project. But those muffins, they've become a lifeline for people who feel alone, just like she did. Actionable step: encourage reflection. Your everyday legacy doesn't need to be dramatic. Maybe it's watering the plants at your church, sharing stories with your grandkids, or even leaving encouraging sticky notes for your spouse. The key is to ask yourself, what can I do today that only I can do? Maybe it's your humor, your listening ear, or your famous lasagna. Whatever it is, lean into it. Those tiny acts remind you and others that you're irreplaceable. 4. The power of no. Setting boundaries to protect your joy. Now, I want to talk about something we don't discuss enough: the power of no. Because here's the thing: rebuilding self-respect isn't just about adding more to your life. Sometimes, it's about subtracting what drains you. After 70, it's easy to feel like you owe people your time, to say yes to every family gathering, every favor, every obligation. But if you're constantly pouring energy into things that leave you exhausted or resentful, you're telling yourself, my needs don't matter, and that erodes joy faster than anything. Let me tell you about my cousin Tom. For years, he drove his grandkids to school 3 days a week. Even though the traffic stressed him out, he'd come home grumpy, his back aching, but he kept saying, "They need me." Finally, his daughter noticed and said, "Dad, we can carpool with the neighbors. You don't have to do this." And you know what he told me? I felt guilty at first, but saying no let me say yes to things I actually love, like teaching my grandson how to fish. Now, when he spends time with the kids, quality time, not obligation. So try this. The next time someone asks for your time or energy, pause. Ask yourself, does this align with what I value? Does this bring me joy? If not, it's okay to say, I can't commit to that right now. No apologies needed. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's how you honor the life you've built and the person you are. Now, redefining purpose and setting boundaries are game changers. But there's one last strategy we need to talk about. Something that turns all of this into a lifelong practice. It's about celebrating yourself in a way that's so simple, you'll wonder why you haven't done it all along. We'll tackle that in a moment. But first, I want to hear from you. What's one small act that makes you feel like you? Share it below. You might inspire someone else. And if you're finding this helpful, hit that like button. It lets me know what matters to you. There's a question I've been asking myself lately. When was the last time you celebrated you? Not your birthday, not your anniversary, just you. The life you've lived, the person you've become, the quiet victories that nobody else sees. We're quick to celebrate others, grandkids' graduations, friends' milestones, but we often forget to honor ourselves. And that's where our fifth and final strategy comes in, creating a daily ritual of self-celebration. 5. The Daily Win Journal. Celebrate yourself every single day. Imagine ending each day by writing down one thing you're proud of. Not a to-do list, not a chore, just one small win. Maybe it's trying a new recipe, standing up for yourself in a conversation, or even just getting outside for a walk. These moments might seem tiny, but they're proof. You're still growing, still learning, still here. A viewer named Helen shared this with me. After her husband passed, she felt like her life had stopped. Then she started writing one win a day in a notebook. Some days it was, made my bed. Others it was, called my sister. Over time, she told me, I began to see myself differently. Like I wasn't just surviving, I was living. Actionable step. Simple, inviting instruction. Here's how to start. Tonight, before bed, grab any notebook, or even a scrap of paper, and write one sentence. Just one. Something like, today, and fill in the blank. Did you laugh with a friend? Try a new hobby. Let go of a grudge. There's no too small. This isn't about impressing anyone. It's about seeing yourself the way you'd see a dear friend. So let's bring this all together. Reconnecting with your strengths, creating those micro moments, redefining purpose through everyday legacies, setting boundaries to protect your joy, and celebrating yourself daily. These aren't just tips. They're tools to rebuild the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with you. Feeling invisible isn't about age, it's about attention. When we stop paying attention to ourselves, we assume others have too. But you're a story that's still being written. Every strength you revisit, every boundary you set, every muffin you bake for a neighbor, it's all a way of saying, I'm here. I matter. And the more you believe that, the more the world will too. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's your win going to be today? Share it in the comments. Let's celebrate each other. And if this video resonated with you, hit that like button. It helps others who feel unseen find this community. Remember, joy isn't something you find. It's something you choose, one small step at a time. So go out there and choose it. Choose you, because the world is brighter with you in it. Thanks for being here. Until next time, keep shining.